It's the EF 24 to 105mm f4. So this is a genuine Canon lens, so it's gonna have the really good Canon L lens build quality, but that also means it has the L series lens price. So this lens is one of the pricier lenses that I have in my kit. Now I actually scooped this lens up on Facebook Marketplace used for $450. So you can get it used for pretty cheap if you do look around and if you really search for a good price. But new, it's definitely the priciest lens out of these. But before you skip over this, there is reasons that it's an expensive lens. So this is Canon's L series lens, which means it's super sharp, even at its widest aperture. It also has image stabilization built into the lens, which is super useful for getting stable pictures and stable videos. And it has a really good focal range. So it's a 24 to 105mm. So 24mm is where it starts out at f4, and it goes all the way to 105mm, which is pretty zoomed in. It's a nice telephoto focal range, and it stays at f4 because this is an f4 constant aperture, which is super awesome. And now these focal lengths will be a little different depending on the adapter you use. And so I use, with all these lenses, a Viltrox speed booster. And so what the speed booster does is essentially kind of widen the focal range and add extra light into your image, because the Canon M50 is an APS-C size sensor camera. So it has a smaller sensor than a full frame sensor, which means you get kind of less depth of field, less low light performance. And so this adapter has a little piece of glass in it that widens the lens, adds light into your sensor, and essentially makes your M50 more like a full frame camera. And so I'm gonna link this Viltrox speed booster in the description. I would really recommend buying this to use with all these lenses that I'm gonna talk about, because it adds better low light performance, it adds depth of field into your images, and really gives you that full frame look, which a lot of people really go for. And that's really one of the biggest downsides of the Canon M50, is that it's not a full frame camera. But if you don't have that and you just have a regular Canon EF-M to EF adapter, all these lenses I'm gonna talk about will work. They'll just be cropped in 1.6 times. So all the focal lengths that I talk about, just multiply that by 1.6, and that'll be the real focal length of all these lenses. Either way, I've talked about some awesome things about the 24 to 105, and I'm sure you've seen some example photos and videos by now, but there is a couple downsides to this lens. And the first thing is the size and the weight. So on the Canon M50, this lens is pretty massive and super front heavy, especially because of how small the M50 is. And with the adapter in between, it makes it even longer. So really, depending on your situation, this may or may not be a big downside, but this lens is heavy and it definitely strains your hand with all that front heaviness when you're trying to hold the small grip of the M50. And that's really the biggest downside of this lens. So the EF 24 to 105mm is a fantastic lens, especially paired with a speed booster. This lens is super versatile, and it's a great just walk around lens, or a great travel lens just to bring with you. You got all sorts of focal ranges in there, anywhere from pretty wide all the way to pretty zoomed in. With image stabilization, there's not much to complain about. This is an awesome lens. So either way, that wraps up this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this helped you out. If it did, go down and drop a like, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. And I hope you have a good morning or afternoon or night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll catch you in the next video.